Sundan natin ang performance ng mga mahahalal. Tignan natin kung tinutupad ang mga sinasabi at pinapangako. Para sa summit natin, sinubukan namin sa Sharefield na madinig ang lahat ng sektor. Sa politika, sa entertainment, sa sports, sa relihiyon at negosyo. Sana ay may matutunan kayo. Nais kong magtapos by thanking our resource speakers, ang ating mga partners na business organizations, sa ating partners sa media, at ang ating Sharefield Secretariat at Sharefield Summit Steercom members. I hope all of you will enjoy the summit. Ingat po kayo. Maraming salamat.
Thank you, Sir Mon. At ang ating unang panauhin at ang ating featured speaker ngayong araw ay si Professor Victor Andres Manhit or Prof. Dindo. Now, Prof. Dindo is recognized as one of Manila's most well-connected and savvy advisors on developments in government and business in the Philippines. He's the managing director for Bauer Group Asia's operations in the Philippines, and he's also the founder and managing director of the Strat-based group and president of its policy think tank, the Albert Del Rosario Institute for Strategic and International Studies. Parang hindi natutulog si Prof. Dindo. Halatang mahilig mag-aral. He served as the former chair of the Political Science Department and a senior fellow of the LaSalle Institute of Governance at the De La Salle University, Manila. He specializes in strategic public management, legislative research, political intelligence, and governance reforms. Kaya, yung mga estudyante natin dito ito ang dapat tularan ninyo. Dindo served as Undersecretary of, wala nyo kung anong taon to, Department of Education, Culture, and Sports, hindi pa DepEd nung panahon na yon. And he was also Deputy Secretary for Administration and Financial Services of the Philippine Senate. Naubusan ako ng hininga. After he left government service in 2001, hindi siya nagpahinga. He became involved with different consortiums and networks of civil society groups pushing for reforms in the areas of governance, elections, government procurement, and constitutional change. Chief of Staff and Senior Policy Research Consultant din po siya in a host of committees in the Philippine Senate. So, ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Professor Dindo Manhit.
Salamat, Salve. Magandang hapon sa lahat ng kasama natin sa hapong ito na pagtatalakayin ang importanteng issue ng pagboto. Allow me to share yung aming mga pag-aaral kasama ng iba naming mga survey and research partners. We do this national surveys regularly, especially sa panahon ng eleksyon, at ang bilang namin ng panahon ay the moment candidates file for their certificate of candidacy, which nangyari yan noong Oktubre. Pero bago ko i-share yung mga pag-aaral namin yun, I always emphasize na napaka-importante sa anumang panahon at diskusyon ng eleksyon ay ang botante. Ilan na ang panahon natin na we focus too much on candidates themselves. O minsan dati mga partido. Pero ako, bago ko intindihin ang kandidato, iniintindi ko muna ang botante. Kasi sa isang demokrasya, ang mamamayan, ang botante, ang pinaka-importante. At pagtitingnan natin, hatiin ko ito into what I call a geographic and a socio-demographic profile para maintindihan natin sino ba ang botanteng Pilipino at paano ba nila pinipili hindi lamang ang mamumuno sa atin, kundi ang ating kinabukasan din. Tingnan natin geographically, napakalaki ng Luzon. 56% ng ating boto ay nanggagaling sa Luzon. At susunod na lamang ang Mindanao at 24% at Visayas at 20%. Kaya walang mananalong Pangulo Vice Presidente, Senador na hindi malakas sa Luzon dahil malaki ang porsyento ng ating mga botante dito. I-discuss ko to ng mas malalim mamaya. Talo naman ako dito sa tinatawag natin socio-demographic. No? Kalungkot-lungkot na nakararami sa ating botante ay tinatawag nila or they describe themselves as social class D. Mga taong hirap sa buhay, challenge sa salitang Ingles by low income. At makikita natin ito minsan sa pananaw at sa pagboto nila. Iba ang pananaw nila doon sa mga nakatapos, profesional, no? Dahil itong mga social class D natin ay tinatawag na ipit sa generational inequality. Maybe brought about by the realities that they have limited educational attainment. Ang nakararami sa botante natin ay may natapos na ilang taon sa secondary school or sa high school at ilang taon sa kolehiyo. Of course, lahat sila ay sinasabing nag-aral sila sa public school. Kaya nung ako ay nabigyan ng pagkakataon, ako ay nasa Senado noon, kaya kung nais ko magsilbi sa executive branch, pinili ko nga ang educational sector, which at that time, Department of Education, Culture, and Sports, because at the core ng ating kinabukasan ay edukasyon. It took some time for us to keep on pushing quality education. Naiipit ang karamihan ng ating botante at mamamayan sa kabuhayan nila, sa trabaho, dahil kulang ang skills, kulang ang mga natutunan sa pag-aaral. And because of that, so pag titingnan natin yung edad, naririnig palagi natin, napakabata ng ating mga botante. But at times, ang pagkakamali natin dito, yung kabataang iniisip natin is just like us. Nakapag-aral ng mabuti, maganda ang kinabukasan. Hindi natin naiisip, mabata ang edad, pero hirap sa buhay. Nag-uumpisa lamang sila, hirap na. At hindi pa kayo hirap na hirap. Ito yung tinatawag nating social class E. Importante ding tingnan sa 2022 election, yung realidad na 49% of our voters, yung edad na 18 hanggang 44, hindi na naintindihan ang panahon ng diktadurya. Hindi tulad ko, pinanganak, isa ang Pangulo, magtatapos na sa kolehiyo, siya pa rin ang Pangulo. Imagine that kind of life. So iba yung pananaw nitong ating mga kababayang ito within the age 18 to 44. Some of them, the oldest of this batch, is actually simply 8 years old lamang nung nangyari ang EDSA Revolution. Importante din tingnan nasaan ang tindig, lakas, puwersa ng Roman Catholic Church. Kasi at 85%, they could be a swing vote or even a strong voice sa politika. Pero hindi naman nais nila yan. Ang Roman Catholic Church sa atin at yung mga tagasunod nila, alam lamang nila kung ano yung values. Hindi sila namimili ng kandidato. So tingnan natin, will they flex their muscle, their voice, their noise in the 2022 election? But going back to what I said earlier, importanteng tingnan saan manggagaling ang boto. Maaring sa mga tagapakinig natin ngayon, tayo ay taga-probinsya. So there are 30 provinces that actually shape the result of the election. We have 81 provinces, pero ang realidad, itong ang boto ay nanggagaling sa top 30 plus the national capital region at 7.3 million voters. Pag pinagsama-sama, isipin nyo, 73% na yan ng botante natin. So makikita natin ang galaw, ingay, kampanya sa mga probinsya ito. Sabi ko nga rin, from a commercial point of view, from an economic point of view, dito natin nakikita yung uptick of the economy. Pag election daw, tumataas ang ating ekonomiya, sabi ng ilang ekonomista, dahil may mga economic activities because of non-formal livelihood during elections. No? Paggamit ng mga support groups at maraming pa. With that as background, lagay natin ito sa ating isipan para tingnan natin Ano ba mga isyong importante sa ating mga botante? So kami ay nag-umpisa ng mga pag-aaral as early as June. No, nagdalawa kami pag-aaral pero balikan lang natin kung ano yung recent namin. So nung Enero, tinanong namin ito. Again, mga botante with 2,400 respondents nationwide, representative of voters depending on social, demographic, and geographic area. Ay, ano ba ang inyong national concern? Ano ba ang nais niyong pagtuunan ng pansin ng inyong mga kandidato? Lalong-lalo na ang Pangulo. Kagulat-gulat, no? Maaring sa iba, pero hindi kami nagulat because this is similar to what we have seen in the past few months, is that kahit tayo nasa isang pandemya, tandaan nyo, January, palong-palo ang Omicron. No? Mukhang ang pinag-uusapan na, ang nasa saloobuin ng ating mga kababayan ay ang kanilang kabuhayan. Ang hirap ng buhay nila. Sabi ko nga sa English ay, the economic consequences of the pandemic seems to be the most urgent concern ng ating mga kababayan. Presyo ng bilihin, kita, siyempre sa kita, ikabit natin yung trabaho. Walang kita kung walang trabaho. Pag mababa ang kita at wala pang trabaho, hirap sa buhay. Pag hirap, gutom pa. So presyo, trabaho at kita, kahirapan at gutom seems to drive the most urgent concern of Filipinos. At hinihingi nila sa kanilang mga kandidato na, ano bang paninindigan mo dito? At of course, always the issue of graft and corruption. At ito'y nakita namin hindi lamang nitong Enero. Naitanong din namin to in a different frame of question nung December. Similar din. Parehong mga issue ang na-identify ng taong bayan. Nag-iiba lamang sa porsyento. Nadagdag lamang ang ingay o ang issue ng West Philippine Sea. Mukhang importante ito noong Disyembre sa atin dahil may konting ingay noong mga Nobyembre, Oktubre tungkol sa ilang teritoryo natin. Pero napaka-importante ito sa nakararaan rin, no, na ating mga kababayan. At nakita rin namin ito when we first asked this question after the filing last October. So ganito ang aming pag-aaral sa strat-based at sa aming think tank, the ADA Institute. Hindi kami nagbibigay at nag-identify ng issue na hindi nanggagaling sa botante mismo. Kasi importante sa amin ang botante, hindi pananaw ng mga scholar, hindi pananaw ng mga nagtatrabaho sa amin, kundi ang pananaw ng botante. At may consistency. Ano ba o paano natin haharapin ang economic challenges, consequences na dinulot at pinalala ng pandemya? At pagpasok natin sa eleksyon, ano ba ang sagot sa mga isyong ito ng ating mga kandidato? So patuloy namin yung tatanungin, no, sa mga susunod na buwan as we continue to track this election. Ang isa rin namin pinuntuhan at tanong sa mga botante ay, paano naman yung karakteridad ng kandidato? Ano ba yung important consideration? That means, bakit natin pipiliin itong taong ito at iboboto siya? So patuloy din namin itong tinanong sa mga botante across the Philippines. And this is what we wanted to share this afternoon. The top 3 ay, number 1, untarnished character and reputation. Hindi corrupt. So imagine na natin, sino ba ito sa iba't ibang pangalan na naririnig natin? Has a clear program or platform of action. Nakalantad ba? Detalyado ba ang paninindigan nila tungo sa isang malaki, malalim na programa para harapin yung mga importante sa ating botante? At nagpakita ba ito na extensive experience sa pamamahala? I always say nga na ibang eleksyon sa pamamahala. Nag-iiba ang pananaw dapat ng tao kasi ang eleksyon, sabi nga na iba, ang daming sumasayaw, kumakanta. Sana yung magaling sa eleksyon, magaling din sa pamamahala. At ito'y patuloy na namin tinatanong, and we have, just like in the past, we have asked this in a different way in December and in October after the filing. Very important, again, na dagdag, has concern for the poor, not corrupt, honest, and trustworthy. So, sa mga katangiang ito, sa ating mga nakikinig ngayon at kasama sa ating pagtitipon ngayong hapon, sino ba itong mga iniisip natin? Ang puso ba niya ay nasa para sa mga mahihirap? Sabay mapagkakatiwalaan. Ang kanyang pagkatao ba ay masasabi nating honest? Siya ba'y walang bahid ng korupsyon o pagnanakaw? So, magandang mga pananaw na ating mga naririnig sa botante. So, ang ginawa namin at nais namin tanungin ito ulit. Kaya nung nga namin ito last February, katatapos lang ng national survey, sino o kanino nyo nakikita itong karakteristik na ito? Kami ay nagulat sa resulta. Ang resulta ay, ito ay mga initial, nakikita pa nga nila to kay Bongbong Marcos at kay Sara Duterte. Hindi lang nakikita ang paglapit o concern sa mahihirap kay Isko Moreno, kay Leni Robredo, kay Manny Pacquiao, considering yung saysayan ng kanilang buhay, or yung issue ng corruption, honesty, and trustworthy. So this became really a challenge for us as we went around and continues to probe this. Sabi ko nga, we decided to go through a national study again, focus on this topic, which we hope to have yung resulta by next week. Pero kagulat-gulat ito. Siguro kaya ganito ang reflection ng preferences. Doon nagiging reflection lang na nakikita na ito sa isang kandidato ang pangalan Marcos. Pero parang iba yata ang kasaysayan ng Marcos compared sa nakikita ng botante. Pero hindi ko yan mabatikusin dahil ang tinitingnan natin dito ay sukat at pananaw ng botante. So ang tanong ko nga minsan ay, ganito rin ba ang mga issue at katangian na mahalaga sa ating mga kasama ngayong hapon? At naniniwala ba kayo na yung mga katangian ito ay nasa isang kandidato lamang over other candidates? Pero bago kayo iwanan ng gatong katanungan, meron ako isang advocacy this past year. At ako'y nakipagtulungan sa iba't ibang paaralan, universidad, kolehiyo, both at the private and public school level, or state universities and colleges, but also with the Catholic Bishops' Council of the Philippines. Ano yung concern ko? Kinakatakutan ko ang nangyayari ngayon sa social media sa Pilipinas. Kasi ang nangyayari sa atin ngayon ay hindi lang pandemya ng COVID, kundi pandemya ng disinformation. At nangyayari ito habang lumalaki ang role ng internet as a source of news sa ating bayan. It has overtaken radio. Radio used to be number 2 as a source of news. And when we specifically asked this question last January, what is the most influential source of information? Kasi yun, una kong pinakita was December. So I tweaked the questions further. Most influential source of information in choosing a president. TV is there at 54%. But alam naman natin na walang isang malaking TV network. Mukhang dahil sa politika ito. Siguro para wag ma-influensyahan, no? Ipagkawala ng ABS-CBN. So when we say national TV stations, limitado sa GMA7 na lamang yan, at TV5. Pero ang kagulat-gulat sa amin is the 19% of the internet. Kasi nung tinanong namin to sa botante noong 2010, it was only 1%. Noong 2016, it was only 2%. Pero kagulat-gulat, it's now 19%. And look at radio stations, simply 4% local radio stations. National radio stations, 1%. Ang mahirap sa social media sa ating bayan, I'm a great believer in the power of social media. Mukhang nagamit ng mga masasamang loob sa politika. I call them political operatives. Na yung isang plataforma tulad ng Facebook, YouTube, na magbibigay pagkakataon na magkaroon tayo ng social interaction. Kahit mas malayo tayo sa pamilya, sa kaibigan, sa mga kapatid natin, ay nagagamit sa politika. And Facebook and YouTube continues to be the major platform in the Philippines. Especially as we hit the pandemic, when what we saw was the second country in the world in terms of time spent sa internet. Ang problema ay kung nai-influensyahan kayo ng fake news, ng disinformation. Lalo-lalo na sa paglaki ng mga social media users natin. Kita niyo, 92.1 million. Bago nagpandemya, 73 million lamang. Napakaganda nga yung nangyari noong January 2019 to January 2020, nabawasan. Nung lumabas yung datos na yan, sabi nga sa aking mga kasamahan ay nabawasan ang fake news, nabawasan ang trolls. Pero mukhang lumaki ulit at 92.1. Anong dominant? Who are the dominant demographic na active sa social media? 18 to 44. Naalala niyo yung sinabi ko doon, di ba? At 18 to 44, they represent 49%. 49% of our voters. Ang nais ko lang iparating sa lahat ay importante ang eleksyon. Lahat ay importante. Ang nakararami sa atin ay patuloy na humaharap sa hirap ng buhay dahil sa kakulangan ng trabaho at pagkakataong mga. But as we vote, we choose not only the leader, but our future in the next 6 years. At ito ba'y sasagot, harap sa mga issue tulad ng presyo, trabaho, kita, hirap, gutom? Ito ba'y mapagkakatiwalaan natin dahil sa kanyang kasaysayan? Mapagkakatiwalaan ba sila dahil wala silang issue ng corruption? Hindi ba nila tayo ibebenta sa interes ng iiba? Tulad ng China. At marami pang ibang katanungan. Yun sana sa pagpili natin. Ang isipin natin. Again, magandang hapon at salamat sa pagkakataong ito.
Thank you for that presentation, Dindo. Ang dami kong natutunan. Ayan, nagno-notes na ako. Bago natin talakayin yan sa panel discussion, mayroon tayong ilang mga special video messages para mahikaya tayong bumoto sa Mayo at sana makatulong sa ating mga manonood sa pag-reflect kung paano tayo pipili ng ating mga iboboto.
Good day everyone! Ako po si Louie Ocampo at akong gumawa ng kantang Sana Naman Taong Bayan na nilagyan ng letra ni Joey Ayala. Alam mo, totoo yun. Sana naman taong bayan ang mananalo this coming election. We really have to choose and vote wisely. Hindi yan parang appliance na pwede mo isole after 1 year kasi may defect. Ito walang solian. So please, let's all pray and choose and vote wisely para kung sino mang manalo will be good for the country, for our children, our children's children, para sa ating lahat. Kaya kailangan tayo ang panalo rito. So, vote wisely. Sana taong bayan ang panalo.
Sino sa atin ang mga na-scam na nag-order ng winter melon milk tea, subalit pagdating ng delivery ay sagot gulaman lang pala na tigli 5 piso? Kung ayaw natin ma-scam ang ating pamilya, gayon din sana iiwasan natin mabudol ang ating buong bansa sa darating na national at local elections. Paano ma-identify ang mga scammers? Unang-una, kilatisin ang kanilang mga plataforma. Madaling magbitiw ng mga salita na nangangakong paangatin ang kabuhayan natin lahat o pagkakaisahin ang buong bansa. Subalit kailangan alamin kung ano ang mga plano niya tungkol sa unemployment, tungkol sa prevailing drug problem, tungkol sa West Philippine Sea, tungkol sa inflation. Paano niya lulunasin ang mga suliranin ito? Kung kaya't unang-una, kilatisin ang plataforma ng ating mga kandidato. Ikalawa, kilatisin ang kanyang nakaraan at ang kanyang moral character. Kung ilang tayong mag-hire halimbawa ng isang accountant na may pending kaso ng estafa, di gayon din, no? Bakit natin ihahalal ang mga kandidatong may kaso ng korupsyon o nagpayaman sa pagkamkam ng yaman ng ating bayan? And therefore, kilatisin natin ang nakaraan, ang pagkatao, ang moral character ng bawat kandidato. At pangatlo, no, tingnan din natin ang kanyang track record. So, nitong nakaraang 2 taon ng pandemya, ano ang kanyang ginawa upang maibsan ang paghihirap ng sambayanan? Paano siya naglingkod? Naglilingkod lang ba siya at nag-aabot ng ayuda sa panahon ng kampanya? O sa panahon ng pandemya, siya ba ay tumutulong na sa mga maralita? And therefore, tingnan natin ang kanyang track record. Ano na ang nagawa niya? Ano ang mga programang nailunsad niya? Paano siya naglingkod sa taong bayan? Sa buong panahon siya ay public servant. Naway sa darating na elections, we will all vote wisely for the welfare of our beloved Philippines.
Magandang araw po sa inyong lahat. Marahil hindi ko na kailangan idiin ang kahalagahan ng darating na eleksyon. Marami po tayong pagsubok na kinakaharap. Pagbangon mula sa pandemya, kahirapan, kawalan ng hustisya, climate change at marami pang iba. Totoo na bawat boto ay importante, pero higit sa partisipasyon, lalong mahalaga ang tamang pagpili o discernment. Sino nga ba ang kandidato na tunay na magdadala ng pagbabago? Sa panahon ng ready access sa internet, sa panahon ng social media at messaging apps, ang kabalintunaan lalong nagiging mahirap ang tamang pagpili. Ito ay dahil sa malala at lalong lumalalang problema sa misinformation at disinformation. Yun bang pagpapakalat ng maling impormasyon para makapanlin lang ng iba. Dahil sa disinformation, nababaluktot ang katotohanan at nakakalimutan natin ang mga aral ng kasaysayan. Inaanyayahan ko po kayo na lalong maging mapagmatsyag laban sa disinformation. Sa ganitong paraan, tayo ay makakapili ng leader na tunay na sumasalamin sa ating shared values. Honesty, integrity, hard work, humility, justice. Maging bahagi po tayo ng solusyon. Huwag basta maniniwala sa mga sabi-sabi at kilatising mabuti ang impormasyon na ating nakukuha bago mag-react o ipasa sa iba. Maraming salamat po sa pagkakataon.
And to start our panel discussion, let's bring back on screen Professor Dindo Manhit, ang ating rockstar ngayong hapon. At makakasama din natin ang ilang mga interesanteng panauhin para mag-share ng kanilang pananaw sa darating na halalan. Pero guys, before ko tawagin muna sila, magpapasalamat muna ako. Very, very active po sa ating chat ang mga estudyante ng St. Paul. Maraming salamat at pinapasaya ninyo ang chat box dyan sa baba. Let's keep on sharing, liking, pa-heart po ng pa-heart para mas maraming makakita sa ating show ngayong hapon na ito. At para mas maraming makakaintindi kung anong gagawin nila sa susunod na this coming May. Okay. So, introduce ko na din po, aside from, ayan, nakabalik na si Prof. Dindo sa ating screen. Meron
Parang
din po tayong isang speaker, si Gang Badoy Kapati. Gang founded a groundbreaking movement, a non-profit called Rock Ed Philippines. Dalawa po pala silang rockstar. Noong 2005 niya ito ginawa. This has been known to be a prime organizer of civil society when it comes to first response of disaster relief operations. She sits on the founding board of the Mindanao Peace Games, a league that encourages young reason. Imagine nyo yan. Kung hindi pa naman ito pagmamahal, ewan ko na lang. Gang believes that peace and progress are impossible if a nation doesn't prioritize. Ayan, nakikita nyo naman siya sa screen ninyo.
Hello,
Ayan.
magandang hapon.
Oo.
Salamat na nandito kami. Tulad ng sinabi ni Miss Salve, mental health clinician ako. Hindi yun doktor, iba yun sa psychiatrist. Pero may nakikipagkita pa rin ako sa patients as a clinical trauma therapist. Natatawa ako kasi parang, ano kaya ginagawa ko dito? Unang-una share ko. Tapos i-check
Ayan.
Na-realize ko naman na yung ating mental health, for lack of a better word sa Filipino, yung ating bait, malaking kinagagawa nito sa ating pagpipili ng kung sino ang magde-decision para sa atin. So,
Ayan,
I'm
thank
very
you
happy
so
that
much.
I'm here.
Thank you.
Ng ibang tao lagi. Alam mo
Pero
yun
hindi
sa
mo
akin,
mailagay.
nagbantay sa mental health ni Heidelin
Yes,
Diaz.
bantay. Tama. At meron, isa din yung Towns at saka yung TOYM. Kaya very happy, Gang, to have you here. I'd like also to introduce our next guest din sa ating roundtable, si Father Anton Pascual. Reverend Father Antonio Cecilio Tuason Pascual, or more familiarly known as Father Anton, has been responsible in uplifting the lives of many through Caritas Manila and promoting good citizenship through Radio Veritas programs. He is the Executive Director of Caritas Manila, the lead social services and development ministry of the church that engages in scholarship, community well-being, and disaster management, restorative justice, and social enterprise development nationwide, and concurrently serves as the president of Radio Veritas Philippines. Pinakyaw na po yata ni Father Anton ang pagiging board of trustees sa napakaraming malalaking NGO. Ganyan po ang tiwala ng mga Pilipino sa kanya. In 2010, Father Anton was the recipient of the Order of the Golden Heart from the President of the Philippines and was chosen as one of the 3 outstanding Filipino awardees in 2016 for his outstanding contribution in humanitarian service, community, NGO, and cooperatives. Ladies and gentlemen, Father Anton, lahat po pala ng guest ko ngayong hapon ay rockstar din. Ayan, Father Anton, kaway muna bago tayo tumuloy sa ibang guest.
Afternoon, everyone.
Oh, peace. Grabe, si Father Anton, very active talaga. I've been hearing about him in many groups. Maraming salamat po sa pag-join sa atin ngayong hapon. Alright, and our next round panelist pala, si Bo Sanchez, the preacher in blue jeans. Oh, di ba? He's a best-selling author of more than 60 books. Siguro yun nasa likod niya. He's founded many ministries that help the poorest of the poor, such as Anna Wim, a special home for the abandoned elderly, and Grace to be Born, a center for pregnant women in crisis. Both started a media ministry, a counseling ministry, and a community called Light of Jesus Family that's found in 36 countries. Sisingit lang ako ng konting story. Nung ako po ay nasa kolehiyo at wala kaming pera na magle-layout kami ng aming project, doon po kami sa office ni Brother Bo at hindi niya po kami pinagbayad. Maraming salamat po, Brother Bo. Privately, Brother Bo is also started the Truly Rich Club that has helped thousands learn financial stewardship and Catholic Filipino Academy homeschooling to help parents teach their kids at home. He's an entrepreneur to support his family, but he has refused to be paid a salary from his ministries. He also donates his book royalties to the mission, but he says his first call from God is to be a loving husband to his wife Maro and a devoted father to his sons Benedict and Francis. Happy to see you healthy, Brother Bo.
Thank you, Salve. Thank you so much.
Ayan, nakikinig po ako sa kanya mga podcast. Ayan. And our next celebrity, puro nga po talaga sila rockstar ngayong hapon. Oh, Kiefer the Phenom Ravenna probably needs no introduction. A member of the Philippine national team since his high school years, the son of former PBA player Bong Ravenna and volleyball national team Mozi Ravenna, Kiefer has had a stellar basketball career, which he has now taken international as a member of the Japan B-League team Shiga Lake Stars. Upon graduating in 2016 from the Ateneo with a degree in Communications Technology Management, Kiefer played for the Mighty Sports Cavaliers in the Semi-Pro League. In 2017, Kiefer joined the NLEX Road Warriors, where he was the second overall draft pick of the PBA. His latest national team appearance was in the 2019 Southeast Asian Games with Gilas Pilipinas, where he won his 5th straight gold medal. Sasabihin ko lang po sa inyo, pinaiyak ako ni Kiefer dahil taga-UP ako. Diba? Pero happy na rin ako, Kiefer, na ikaw ang tumalo. May sariling reality show po ito with girlfriend Alisa Valdez, 3-time UAP volleyball MVP and former team captain of the Ateneo Lady Eagles. Kiefer, medyo kaway ka naman sa mga fans mo. Alam ko marami sila dyan sa baba.
Hello po, hello, hi.
Ayan, we're very happy to have all 4 of you, 5 pala. Hindi ako marunong magbilang. 5 of you, but if I may, I'll ask Prof. Dindo muna kasi grabe, sinimulan niya talaga ng napakatinding pag-uusap kanina. At nakakatuwa, di ba? Kasi puro numero, puro charts, pero hindi nosebleed. Ang tanong ko po, pinakita ninyo yung Pulse Asia, di ba? Tapos yung mga hinahanap ng mga kandidato. Gustong-gusto ko yung sinabi mo, Dindo, na bago mo aralin yung kandidato, aralin mo muna ang boboto. At nakita natin yung mga gusto nila, mga hinahanap nila sa kanilang mga liderato. Yung SWS, tsaka merong boses survey results. Parang similar naman, Dindo? Strong leadership, matalino, magaling, morally upright, mabait, compassionate. Graft and corruption is an issue for them. Jobs, COVID, and poverty are also big concerns.
Hindi nalalayo, Salve, ang mga result ng survey kung ito ay done quantitatively, scientifically, no? Lalo na kung dikit ang mga panahon. Minsan, may trigger lamang na mag-iiba ang sagot. That means may nangyari sa lipunan, may nangyari sa ingay sa media. But it's consistent kasi what I did not share in the interest of time, we were tracking this as early as June. Hindi namin tiyatanong kung kanino yung nakikita ito, pero tiyanong na namin ito noon at patuloy yung issue ng pagkamahirap. Maybe it's reflective of majority of our population, our voters are not challenged by poverty, especially with underemployment and unemployment, yung tinatawag na honest and trustworthy at hindi corrupt. No? Yun ang top 3. Pero 12 yung na-identify. Of course, sa iba't ibang lingwahe namin ito nakuha. So, tinranslate na lang in English ng aming survey partners, which is Pulse Asia and Social Weather Station. We did it 5 times with them. And it ended last January in different periods and respondents.
Oh, mukhang malaking issue pa lalo ngayon ang mahal magpagas. 'Di ba? So inflation. Sana
Presyo.
nagpagas kayo kahapon, 'di ba? Para hindi kayo naabutan ng price increase ngayong araw na 'to. I'd like to ask all the other panelists, agree ba kayo doon sa survey results na yun? Ano ba yung as a representative of your particular community or age bracket? Age bracket, Father Anton.
Bata-bata.
Agree ba kayo? Anybody can speak, but if you want, I can start with kay Father muna tayo. Gang ha, kay Father muna.
I prefer
Same
ladies
ba?
first.
Ladies first.
Ladies first. Women's month daw women's month.
Ay, maraming salamat po, Father. Okay, Gang, ikaw muna. Agree ka ba doon? Yun ba ang hinahanap mo personally and the communities that you work with? Same ba yung hinahanap nila sa mga leaders?
Alam mo yung survey kasi study siya ng subset of subset of subset. So parang may pinipili lang silang tinatanong. So hindi ako gaanong nagli-lean completely on anong sinasabi ng surveys. Pero of course may science to it and of course may valid input, lahat naman meron. Para sa akin, ang square one ko, yung kumbaga doon ako mag-uumpisa bago ako mamili ng iboboto, ano yung mahalaga sa akin? So, irrelevant muna kung sino sila, Lenny, Junior, whatever, whoever, irrelevant yun sa akin. Ang mahalaga sa akin, maayos ang DepEd, sana maging continuous at coterminous ang Department of Health. Kasi feeling ko yung health tuloy-tuloy yan. It doesn't matter who the president is eh. So parang yun yung for me, yan ang pinakamalakas na issue for, I suppose, the things I want to find in a government that offers me services. Kailangan rin natin tandaan na ang government, ang presidente, ang vice president, hindi sila yung source of inspiration or patriotism. May mga makata para dyan, may musicians, may Bo Sanchez, may Father Anton, may Heidelin Diaz. Ang trabaho ng gobyerno ay magbigay ng services. Yung SSS mo, yung PhilHealth mo, hindi ninanakaw yung 15 billion, yung kalye, sana maayos, hindi lang mula sa bahay nila, kundi sa lahat, di ba? So parang what I need us to remember is, ang hinahalal natin ay service giver sa atin. Okay, so not technically, poetically and literally, they have to serve us. So they give service. And then I would like to say na kung ano ang importante sa iyo, dun ka mag-start. So sa akin, education, mahalagang mahalaga kasi feeling ko kung unahin natin ang public schools na talagang hardcore, trabahuin natin, maraming magbabago eh. Kahit sa sahod lang ng teachers, kahit yun lang ang i-emphasize natin, feeling ko maraming magbabago. At saka, Department of Health. So, kung DepEd at DOH ang para sa akin, pinakamahalagang pagtutuunan ng pansin, hahanapin ko yung kandidato na nagre-respond doon. Hindi ko sinasabing hindi mahalaga yung iba. Sinasabi ko lang, kaya tayo marami, kasi yung iba sa atin, pangangahalagahan ang Department of Labor, ang Department of etc. Sa akin, DOH at DepEd. Sa'yo, maaring OFWs, and that's fine. Lahat tayo pwede mag-focus kung anong mahalaga sa atin. So, dun ka mag-start sa issues na mahalaga sa'yo, feeling mo magbabago at hanapin mo yung kandidatong aligned dun sa pipiliin mong advocacy. At saka, it's super malinaw. Alam ko, Sheriff is very careful na hindi maging, what's the word?
Partisan.
Biased, I suppose, or partisan. I guess that's the correct word. Alam ko, careful tayo na hindi maging obviously partisan. So kanina inisip ko, so I guess I can't use the word magnanakaw. And then I realized, that's not partisan, that's just an adjective. And it's not my fault if you associate when I say magnanakaw with a candidate, right? So I thought today, rather than take on the stance of being ultra careful and accommodating those who have bullied us, I think I'll really just say my truth. I need someone who doesn't steal from our money.
Oo. Galing, Gang. Pero feeling ko, although baka pareho pa kayo ng age group ba ni Kiefer? Nax.
Hindi. Kaibigan ko nga yung mommy.
Okay, let this be a good conversation. Just jump in if you want to say something. But right now, if it's okay with both Father and Dindo, baka si Kiefer, very interested ako dun sa pananaw ng kabataan. Kasi nakita ko sa slides ni Dindo, palaki ng palaki itong voter group voter demographic na ito. Tama ba, Prof. Dindo? Kiefer, what do you think? Ano ba hinahanap ng grupo mo sa isang presidente, vice president, at saka mga senador?
Actually, siguro po, no, may balik ko lang dun sa sinabi ni Tita Gang. Okay lang po ba, Tita Gang, na
Oo,
yun
teammate
po
ko yung
ang...
mami.
Sige,
Teammate ko sa
sigaw lang
volleyball
ang
yung mami.
tita, ha? Hindi ako.
Ganun nga po, yung malaking bagay po talaga yung pagkakilala sa sarili. Kasi I think when you know yourself, parang dun mo nakikita yung value na pwede mong makita sa isang leader na hinahanap mo. Bilang parte ng isang community ng sports, kailangan namin ng isang leader, kumbaga sa basketball, kay Miss Hidalin, sa weightlifting. So may mga kanya-kanya po kaming qualities na gusto naming makita at ma-emulate din. Hindi man ito swak dun sa gusto namin, pero ito po yung tingin namin kailangan. And ngayon nga po yung henerasyon namin na lumalaki na po yung demographics ng pagiging mga botante, and at the same time yung henerasyon din po namin mas nagiging importante na po yung boses, yung pagiging open and pagkakaroon ng tsansang marinig ng masa at saka ng karamihan. So kailangan din siguro namin maintindihan na yung sarili namin muna ang kailangan namin makita. Tumingin kami sa salamin na ano ba yung gusto namin, ano bang meron kami na gusto naming makita sa isang tao na magtatakbo ng isang buong bansa, di ba? So para sa akin, alam ko may mga iba-iba pa rin kaming mga opinion pagdating sa mga kandidato, sa mga preferences namin, ano. Pero sa akin, isang step na pwede naming magawa para talagang malinaw or mas maliwanag yung paraan namin sa pagpili ng kandidato is to really look at ourselves first. No? Yan ang pinaka-importante para sa akin into really making big and positive steps forward, lalo na papalapit na po yung election.
Segue ako, Kiefer. I like what you said. Look at yourself first. And si Father Bo and si Father Bo tuloy. Brother Bo and Father Anton, you work with a lot of youth groups also. At alam mo, marami sa kanila nagkukwento sa inyo kung ano yung pinagdadaanan nila. And itong mga, hindi ko lang sinasabi, Kiefer, na hindi mo pakilala yung sarili mo. Pero karamihan, di ba, ng kabataan. Actually, ako po parang tita na ako ni Gang eh. Joke lang po yung kanina. They are still trying to find themselves. And as they find themselves, they are defining kung anong mundo yung gusto nilang galawan. Gang, one moment. I'll go back to you. I'll go back to you in a little bit. Father Anton, Brother Bo, quick lang, just maybe 1 minute or per person. Yung mga hinahanap ng kabataan at hinahanap ba ng ating age group ay medyo malayo? Similar naman? Anong tingin nyo? Anybody can speak first.
Bo, would you go ahead?
Yes, Salve, I really think, kasi tama yung sinasabi mo na, tama rin sinasabi ni Kiefer, you know, yung mga kabataan, hinahanap pa nila ang kanilang gusto. And so, pero yung experience ko, there's an idealism na totoo may yung iba medyo cynical na, pero yung iba talaga naghahanap ng meaning in life and purpose, yung mas malaking purpose, no, to live for. Meron pa rin eh, there is that, and kung bigyan mo ng opportunity, talagang ibibigay nila yung buhay nila sa bigger purpose in life.
Kaya parang dami ko nakikita sa kanila sa mga rallies, Father Anton, and then Gang, and then we'll go back to Dindo.
Well, basically, sa karanasan ko sa mga kabataan, at lalo-lalo sa mga mahihirap, kasi we have 5,000 scholars sa Caritas Manila, ang kabataan talaga, they're looking for role models. Because they're searching for meaning and purpose and direction, sabi nga ni Bo, and they need role models. Kaya dyan kailangan ng public servants. Kaya sa akin, public servant, first and foremost, ang hinahanap ng character. Leadership is about character. Nothing more, nothing else, nothing less. Talagang, although we're not looking for a saint, hindi naman tayo naghanap ng perfect leader, Pero dapat meron siyang epitome of inspiration. No? Alam mo, leaders inspire. No? And they're inspired by the quality of their lives. Diba? You have to walk your talk, no? Before you can talk your walk. No? You have to walk your talk. No? At nakikita yan sa iyong track record, no? Which starts with the family. Siyempre, no? It starts with the family. Kung wasak ang pamilya mo, no? How can you lead? Di ba? Sabi nga sa Biblia, how can you be trusted with many things if you cannot be trusted in small things, no? At mahalaga din yung power kasi once you are elected, no? Alam mo, yung power is very intoxicating. Kaya sabi nga ni Pope Francis, the only purpose of power is service. The only purpose of power is service. No? Kaya ka binigyan ng kapangyarihan. Nasa atin pa kapangyarihan ngayon eh. Tayo mga botante, nasa atin. Pero after the election, binigyan na natin yung kapangyarihan natin eh. No? But obviously, our power is given by God, no? Sabi nga, for service. For service, no? Service for the common good. And napakahalaga ng public service because you're supposed to serve the common good. No? Kabutihan ng lahat. Especially those who are at the bottom of the pyramid. Kaya mamaya, I will focus on the poor because my criteria, no, in looking for candidates, someone who must have the strongest impact in the lives of the poor because we're a poor country. We're a poor country. Doon muna ako.
Kang, go ahead. Alam ko everybody wants to jump in na. Sige, go lang.
Sa akin, tama yung starting from Kiefer saying kailangan kilala mo yung sarili mo, and then Brother Bo said something, and then Father Anton said we're really searching for role models. Sa larangan ng mental health, pag nag-aaral ka ng humans, hindi talaga nabubuo yung frontal lobe until 25. So talagang sobra nating flexible hanggang 25. At during this time, katulad ng lahat mga toddlers, gumagaya lang tayo. Gaya-gaya lang tayo. Mama, banana, yes, no, nod. Where's your nose? Where's your ears? Diba? If you know children, if you've seen them, talagang gumagaya lang tayo. At dito pumapasok yung sobrang halaga na when we vote for a leader, alam nyo ba, in the Greeks, yung nag-start ng demokrasya, ang leader, they have to be the best of us, the kindest, the most flexible, the ones that listen and consider. Leader is not about dictating. It's a lot about listening and adjusting policy. So para sa akin, sobrang valuable yung sinabi ni Kiefer. Kilala mo dapat sarili mo. Hanapin mo kung ano yung gusto mong maging an enlarged vision of yourself. Yung sinasabi natin sa Filipino, paglaki ko, gusto ko maging Idolin Diaz or whatever, di ba? You usually say something. So yes, ganon din sa leader. And you know, baka sa marami maliit lang to, pero mahalaga sa akin yung may modo, may manners, polite, sorry, thank you, excuse me, po, hindi po, on time, hindi na, kala nyo wala lang yun, but wow, our president, vice president, senators, konsehal, everyone, hanggang SK, they are the best of us. So, imaginein mo yon, ikaw na nag-i-improve ng sarili mo lagi, you try to be a better person, hanap ka ng pwedeng patutunghan na direction. So, that's what we look for. I think that's why children, the younger ones, even if they're not solidly knowing who they are yet, I think it's good to know that we imitate. Even adults imitate. So, mahalaga yung gusto nating isalamin sa buhay natin. Mirror in our lives.
Which leads me, I want to go back to Dindol. Gusto ko malaman kung yung business community, the corporates, the businesses, they also, to some extent, determine ang outcome ng election. Yun din ba ang hinahanap nila sa isang presidente? But before that, may comment. Galing sa baba, sabi ni Pansit Canton, paalala, wag maging panatiko. Kung kayang pumuna sa ibang kandidato, siguruhin na kaya ring pumuna sa piniling kandidato. Oh, eto talaga yung mga young people, I see this all the time. Dapat, the enlightened, na dapat alam mo, dapat hindi ka biased. So, kahit na gustong-gusto mo yung isa, hindi ka dapat naging panatiko. Dindo, sa business and the corporate sector, ano ba yung importante sa kanila?
Of course, wala talagang pag-aaral, no? Exactly, except that they represent the 11% there, which is the ABC crowd. No? And AB, which is the owners of business, when I say, and maybe owners of big business, which is 3% of our population. We have a specific question on the role that people see in them, which is job creation, which is provision of certain livelihood opportunities for people. So when I shared that to the business sector, and I even hosted one just this morning, business agenda for the next government. We had the Philippine Chamber of Commerce, we had the Management Association of the Philippines, we have the Makati Business Club, and even the Employers Confederation of the Philippines, and even the Filipinas CEO Forum, in the forum of Filipina CEO. Very consistent. What they want is an environment for business to thrive. No? Because at the end of the day, they can only create jobs and invest and really maybe shift the country. What the pandemic told us, Salvis, this service-driven, consumption-driven economy does not work. What we need is investment-led growth. No? Because investment-led growth creates jobs for the Filipino public. And as they create jobs, these are citizens that can uplift their lives. They can take care of the challenges of the day-to-day living of presyo, trabaho, kita, hirapan. No? But business cannot do that if there's no rule of law, if the environment is populist in nature. Meron silang mga hinanaing na before the pandemic, para silang punching bag. Parang pag may problema, pati kakulangan ng tubig, sinisi sa distributor ng tubig. Parang confusing yata yun, di ba? Kasi ang source ng tubig, gobyerno, hindi naman yung distributor, no? Or yung maaring may pagkukulang ang telco sa mga infrastructure, pero walang bansa na private sector lang ang gumagawa ng infrastructure. Sa ibang bansa, government is 50% of the infrastructure. Pero sa atin, binusa sa private sector, sinisi pa sila. Pero wala pa silang permit. No, so may mga ganong hinanaing minsan, no, ang ating mga the so-called red tape, but they're challenged by that. But for them, a business environment that will allow them to invest. And this is not only a concern of the domestic, but even foreign. Because we have a growing multinational community that continues to grow. No, ang isang natutunan ko this past, I wear my hat as a business consultant, is, do you know that the great fear of COVID was there could have been a slowdown on production of Apple because there's an important chip being made here in the Philippines, in Laguna. Or HP had a global slowdown because Cavite was on lockdown. May mga ganung long lockdown natin na why did we do that? Why did we have this parang it created an environment of militarization of COVID, which affected the livelihood of people and it affected the investments for the past 2 years. So everybody's hoping a post-COVID, post-election creates a better business environment so they can create jobs. And as they create jobs, they can help as good citizens, no, to provide better livelihood for the Filipino people.
Ito nga yung AB eh. Doon sa slide mo, napansin ba natin na sila yung may pera, pero sila yung hindi bumuboto. Di ba?
Maliit. Bumoboto pero maliit ang porsyento.
Oh, maliit ang
Maliit ang
porsyento.
porsyento.
Pero ito yung may kakayanan na talagang mag-analyze. Ano? Lahat naman, we're really
Yun ang
hoping for
mahirap.
voter empowerment ngayon. Na sana lahat ng nanonood sa atin at lahat ng boboto ay may kakayanan na mag-isip, mag-analyze, and that's what we're trying to do here. Now,
Yeah.
the question I want, go ahead, Father.
Yeah, well, yung nga, mahalaga yung to convince people to vote eh. Bakit yun ang ginagawa ng church, no? Kailangan bumoto tayo as Catholics at as lay people, no? Bakit tayo kailangan bumoto? Unang-una, we are in a democracy, no? And in a democracy, the foundation of democracy is dalawa eh, diba? Sovereign popular will and rule of law. Boto at batas eh. Kaya if you want to sabi nga, the sacredness, no, of democracy, no, we have to protect two things eh. Yung boto, bumoto tayo ng tama, bantayan natin yung boto natin, mabilang to, at yung batas, no? We have to follow the rule of law. Pangalawa, di ba may kasabihan, we only deserve the government that we have. Okay? Kapag matino yung namumuno, magaling yung bumoto. Pero kung palpak yung namumuno, sisihin mo yung bumoto, o hindi bumoto, o mali pagboto. No? Ano? Pero ang pangatlo talaga, kaya bumoboto ang mga tao. Napansin ko yung representation ng ating ni Dindo, no? 75% coming from the D. You know why? Because people want change. People want change, especially those who are at the bottom of the pyramid. With due respect,
Sawa na.
nasa taas,
Sawa
yung
na,
mga-
Father.
yung nasa taas, they don't want changing. They want status quo. Okay? Yung mga, with due respect, mga donors natin yan, yung nasa baba, no? Ang number one bumoboto, they want change. The poor wants change. Period.
Parang ang sarap makinig ng homily ni Father, no? Di ka matutulog eh. Ang daming energy. Oh, di ba? Talo niya si Kiefer. Ngayon, ang tanong, di ba sabi nyo, dapat makumbinsi natin yung mga tao bumoto. Ito lagi ko naririnig eh. Isa lang naman yung boto ko. Baka it won't matter. Di ba?
Yeah.
It won't matter. Let us discuss. Ano yung value ng isang boto? I'll start with Kiefer again. I really am very interested in the young ones. Ano yung value ng isang boto, Kiefer? What do you think? What do you think of that?
Siguro po yung value ng isang boto, no? Kasi parang tama nga po yung sinabi niyo na baka ang iniisip ng tao is isa lang naman to, hindi naman magmamatter to. Di ba? Parang ang dami namang ibang pwedeng bumoto, ganyan. And at the same time, siguro po yung isa po namang iniisip is baka yung isang boto is ayoko makakontribute sa ibang bagay, yung mga lesser evil na kumbaga lagi nilang sinasabing ganyan, no? So, pero para sa akin po yung importante kasi magsimula sa isa. Yung isa na yon with everybody na boboto as a whole, no, as a whole community. Yun ang ano sa atin. Yun ang kailangan makita, again, looking at the bigger picture. Tulad po nung pagkilala sa sarili and having the enlarged vision of yourself, you know, yung pagiging gusto mong makita sa isang leader, no? Yung isang tao, isang boto na yon is grabe ang importance nun talaga sa mangyayari sa eleksyon.
Father Bo, yung isang boto, nakikita mo to nag-aaway-away yung mga tao, di ba? In one community, alam mo tayo, mga ilang taon na hindi lang naman itong election na to even the previous ones, not just in the Philippines, but also in the United States, very divisive. Pag nag-aaway-away, and ibig sabihin, meron na silang parang, ito na yung ambag nila, ibig sabihin boboto yan. Pero meron din namang nakikipag-away, pero hindi naman talaga bumoboto. Ano yung pwede nating gawin sa mga komunidad natin para mas mahikayat natin yung mga tao mag-register, bumoto? Madami pa din Although in this election, I know that a lot of people are first-time voters. Or yung mga hindi na bumoto ng matagal, reactivate. Pero paano pa natin ito mapapalakas? Paano pa natin may encourage yung mga kabataan, yung iba pa?
You know, Salve, just tama yung sinabi mo na ako yun, one of them na 2 elections hindi ako nakapag-vote kasi nasa labas ako ng bansa. So I had to register. Pero tuwang-tuwa ako. Mahaba yung pila, 4 na oras ako pumila, no? Pero iniisip ko, although syempre nakakainip, pero iniisip ko, ay, tingnan mo, ang daming tao gustong bumoto na pumila kasama ko na 4 hours, no? Or even more. And I was thinking to myself, this is a good sign. This is a very good sign. And to answer your question, ako iniisip ko, conversations. Yung sinabi mo, Salve, na, oy, isang boto lang naman ako parang baliwala. Hindi, isang boto ka, pero marami kang kaibigan. So, makipag-usap, tanungin. Ako, yun ang ginagawa ko. Tinatanong ko yung mga tao, driver, or tindera, or waiter, uy, sinong boboto mo? Tapos sasabihin niya, gusto niyang iboto. Tatanungin ko, bakit? So, minsan yung dahilan nila, hindi masyadong pinag-isipan. So, i-share ko naman yung magtatanong pa ako. And I think that's what we can do. No, yung sinabi mong paano ba i-encourage yung mga tao bumoto at paano ba i-encourage yung mga tao na bumoto wisely, no? If we can start conversations na medyo magtatanong, wag kaagad sabihin yung ito yung gusto niyang iboto ko pero makinig ka muna. No, para feel nila na uy, parang importante yung opinion ko kasi magiging mas open sila, mas bukas sila sa talakayan.
I love that. Makinig ka muna. I think si Gang is an expert at this, listening.
Tama. Tama.
What do you think, Gang?
You know, may can I speak freely and be really brave this afternoon? Okay lang ba? Permission, gentlemen, since it's International
Go for it.
Women's
Go
Day.
for it.
Go
Okay
for
lang,
it.
Father? Okay,
Go
may
for it.
basbas.
May
May basbas
basbas
ako ng
ka na.
tama. Okay. Um, yung mga may trabaho na maayos, meron kayong insurance, meron kayong pang rent, pang upa, or may sariling bahay ko pinagpala na rin ng hard work at meron na kayong sariling bahay. Marami sa atin, isa ako doon, yung may maayos akong trabaho, ganyan. Marami sa atin, hindi naman magbabago buhay natin kung mag-ibang presidente. Pareho pa rin. May trabaho ka pa rin, yung anak mo, ganyan. Bumoboto, ako na lang, sabihin ko na lang ako, bumoboto ako para sa mga kailangan ng SSS, kailangan ng support sa housing, pag-ibig loan, etc. Kasi kaya tayong mga maaayos ang finances, yung mga nakakaraos, yun ang natatawid naman natin buwan-buwan. Kaya natin eh. So, yun ang contribution natin sa eleksyong ito. Your vote is actually for someone else who needs the services na ikaw lucky enough not to need it. Alam ko parang maraming pwedeng argue on this statement, but I really don't care. What I'm saying is, regardless of who the president is, kahit sino, minsan talaga pareho rin yung buhay mo eh. Depende na lang kung sino spokesperson, kung mainit ulo mo sa umaga o hindi eh. Kung gusto mo pakinggan yung, di ba? It depends, yun na lang, mood change na lang. But honestly, you have to vote for people who need the services. That's what we mean by you vote for others, you vote for the Philippines. And yes, of course, if you vote for the Philippines, you vote for yourself because you're the Philippines. You don't want to be in a country that's constantly needing. So naisip ko, ngayong election, ngayong May, isipin mo talaga imagine mo sino yung may kailangan. No? In my scenario, I have a few people that work with me. I'm lucky enough that nakakahire ako ng 2 or 3 people. I will vote for them. I'm not saying because I'm lucky, I don't need it. That's not the point. The point is, we were blessed enough, thank you God, that we have a livelihood. And for those that need it. So, focus ka lagi sa service. So, kung nalilito ka pa, kung ano yung basehan mo, kumbaga report card, i-google mo mamaya SDG, Sustainable Development Goals. Yan yung mga kailangan i-report card natin sa leaders. Kasi ang Sustainable Development Goals ay, okay lang, stay with me, madali lang to. Yun ang mga goal na nagbibigay ng pagkain, trabaho, pag-alaga sa pangangailangang medical, mental health, etc., environment. Kung ma-report card mo yung mga politiko natin, kung alin doon ang natutugunan nilang goal, doon ka. Sa akin nga, education at health, di ba? So doon tayo. Pangalawa, may I, can I have like 1 more minute? I don't wanna.
Go lang, go lang.
Kilalanin mo sarili mo kasi yung pagkakilala mo sa sarili mo, yan ang magde-determine kung sino iboboto mo. And I will explain why. Kung nakatira ka sa, halimbawa, neighborhood na hindi gaanong safe, let's say maraming hold-upper, maraming ganyan, gusto mo talaga ng nanay o tatay na matapang, macho, may baril, para feeling mo safe. Pero kung nasa lipunan ka ng maayos, okay lang, nakakainis yung tatay na pamacho kasi hindi naman kailangan. Alam mo yun? So, feeling ko, i-check mo, do I feel safe with this leader? And why? Why am I drawn to leaders who are obviously violent, obviously, EJK Festival? Why was I drawn to this? And inherently, alam mong hindi okay yun, di ba? So you have to also explore yourself and say, oh, kailangan ko matutong mag-trust. Oo. So kung meron kang faith leaning, which is really good, go, stay with the faith leaning and make it your guide. Kung meron kang religion or etc., you stay with your guide. Na-pressure ako kasi nandito si brother at si father. I'm not very religious. But if you do have a faith leaning, sumandal ka doon. At lahat ng pinaniniwalaan mo, lahat ng Bible verses na sinasabi mo, makinig ka doon. Not so much for you. It's really for others. Now, if you are the others that need help for PhilHealth, kung ako ang may kailangan ng PhilHealth, the more you should vote someone who should return the resources at hindi nanakawin at hindi magpapayaman, di ba? Ang simple. Pero siguro dahil marami tayong emotions involved, sino yung gusto natin, yun yung tinanong ni Pansit Canton kanina, Miss Salve, yung wag maging panatiko. Ang panatiko kasi, sobrang intense na fan, hindi na nakikinig sa iba. Right? So ang mahalagang matutunan natin ay makinig. Makinig tayo sa sarili natin, sa others na gusto nating bantayan at tulungan at i-assist, at makinig tayo sa hinaing ng bayan. Ang tagal na natin din hinahanap to. Parang ma-in love ka naman ulit sa Philippines at mamili ka ng pinulong talagang aarugain siya at hindi lang magpapamacho or magpapacute or lilipad ng first class. Talagang maghanap ka ng kandidato na talagang uunahin yung may kailangan ng PhilHealth. Kahit yun lang yung imaginein mo, that could be a good guide. That's it.
That's
To affirm, no, yung sinabi ni Gang at saka ni Kiefer kanina, no? Yung tanong mo nga na why ba sa i-vote? Ba't ako kailangan bumoto, no? Alam mo, may mas malalim pang realidad na dapat natin tingnan, no? Na yung sinasabi nga nilang, you cannot give what you don't have. You cannot give what you don't have, no? What is your orientation in life? First and foremost, no? What is your highest value in life? First and foremost. Because only a leader, di ba bro, na Bono, only a leader can recognize a leader. Only a servant can recognize a servant, no? Kaya you have to start with yourself eh. Ano bang iyong orientation sa buhay? No, ba't ka ba nabubuhay sa mundo? No, ano ba yung pinagpapahalagahan mo sa buhay, no? Kasi di mga ibang bansa, napakahalaga sa kanila ng love of country. No? Kaya hindi issue yung tanong na yan, ba't ako boboto? Kasi yun ang kanilang highest value eh, love of country, di ba? Pero sa atin, unfortunately, with due respect, hindi mataas yung love of country sa atin. Sa atin, love of family. I agree. Mababa pa nga yung love of God eh. Kaya nagdo-double time kami ni Brother Boy to evangelize. Love of family. Kaya nga may family dynasty. Di ba? Kaya nga meron problema sa inherited wealth eh. No? Pinapasa lang sa pamilya yung
lang.
Kaya yung siguro,
akala ko tinatawag mo na si Brother Bo ng bro. I wanna go to Dindo. Because you're always interviewed. You're always on ANC, other news channels.
What I've done, lalo nung 26 years ako as faculty of a university, I chose to teach undergraduate, and the more students, the better. Considering I was even chairman of the department. Normally, pag ganyan, pipiliin mo na yung mas maiksik, mas konti. So that means the more I can reach. So that's why I accept every opportunity to speak. No? Minsan, mas maganda pa nga na broader reach as possible. I believe you just have to push and communicate that issues are very important, but also have to accept the realities that yung nais natin at a higher level, maaaring iba ang gusto ng nakararami because of the realities ng buhay din nila. May mga sarili silang challenge. But we need to keep on fighting. We need to keep on sharing these things. No? And I remember I started quite young in this game. And I remember my father telling me, when will I stop daw? Sabi ko, hindi tayo, sagot ko palagi sa kanya through the years is, I will not stop kasi hindi ko dapat matapos ang your desire ng pagbabago. No? You might have benefited from this life, but the rest has to. And the Philippines, and as a nation, as a people, deserve something better. So you just keep on pushing, no matter how frustrating it is at times. No? Yung resulta ng mga pag-aaral. I will say nga na, I'm not happy with the result at times, pero yun ang lumalabas sa pag-aaral. So it's a learning, and it's something that you have to use to teach and to share and to advocate on these core issues to uplift the lives of the Filipino people.
Mamaya, para tatanungin ko kayo, nagkaroon na ba kayo ng experience na may mga nag-aaway? Paano nyo tinutulungan yung mga tao na focus? Wait, balik tayo dun sa, sa issues, hindi sa personality. But right now, I wanna ask very specific questions to each person. Father,
natin, no, ang simbahan as a general rule, Catholic Church, no, we don't endorse any candidate, no. We are never partisan. We are always prophetic, no. Yun ang aming prophetic politics, not partisan politics, no. Bakit ganoon? Kasi pag nag-endorse ang Catholic Church ng isang candidate, ang ibig sabihin niyan, the truth is in that candidate. The perfection of truth is in that candidate. Wala namang perfect candidate, eh. Naman perfect candidate. No? Kaya the church will only give guidelines, no? Mga qualities of servant leaders. No? Kasi naniniwala ang church na nagpapadala ang Diyos ng kanyang mga candidates. No? As revealed in the Bible, kapag may crisis, nagpapadala siya from Moses to the judges, no? And the kings, no? And of course, John the Baptist, and finally, Christ was sent by God. No? Nagpapadala ang Diyos. Hindi tulog ang Diyos. The problem is, how do we discern the leaders that God is sending us? No? Unang-una, kaya mahalaga dyan yung sinasabi ng simbahan, we have to follow our conscience. Kaya kailangan meron tayong prayer life. Meron tayong relationship with God. No? Because number one quality, no, yung the fear of God is very important, no, for leaders. No? Di ba sabi nga, the beginning of wisdom is the fear of God. Kasi mahalaga may fear of God because power is intoxicating. No? Pag may kapangyarihan ka, nakakalasing yan . No? At sabi nga ni Lord Acton, hindi Anton, Lord Acton, power corrupts. Absolute power corrupts absolutely. No? Kaya kapag wala kang accountability to a higher power, no? Baka gawin mo Diyos ang sarili mo . Gawin mo Diyos ang sarili mo, maging demagog ka . No? Kaya kailangan meron kang accountability, meron kang humility. No? That there is a God who is love but also just. That He rewards the good and punishes evil. Diba? At sabi nga ni King Solomon, no? Sa Proverbs 14, diba? Sabi niya sa kanyang anak, no? Righteousness exalts a nation. No? Kaya ang power, ang political position, diba? Sabi nga yung kingship is given by God for righteousness. No, kaya kailangan matuwid ang namumuno. Kaya naghahanap tayo ng matuwid na namumuno. Sapagkat power position is very powerful. Leadership is very powerful. Kaya kailangan daw, sabi nga ni Pope Francis, authentic power service. You must always use power to serve, like Christ, who came not to be served, but to serve and offer His life for the ransom of many. Kaya yan ang iniikutan ng ating simbahan. Now we have to discern the leaders that God is sending us, the servant that God is sending us, because power is used for service, and we listen to God in our conscience. No? Yan ang ultimate arbiter of the truth is our conscience. Of course, the church is also telling us, dapat you have a formed conscience. No? You have to form conscience. You have to listen to the Word of God. You have to listen to the teachings of the church. Kasi the church is not political . Wala siyang political agenda . Kaya napakagandang respetuhin natin yung tinig din ng simbahan. No? Wala siyang partisanship eh. Always prophetic. The church will always speak for the truth, no matter how it hurts. Thank you.
Miss Salve, pwede ko ba
sabi ko na-
i-accommodate? Anton, everything he says, but I want to accommodate those who do not believe in God and who don't cover any faith leaning. Ita-translate ko lang yung sinabi niya kasi nasa gitna ako eh. Sa akin, na wala masyado sa vocabulary ko yung God and righteousness and Bible. Sa akin talaga, yung nagbabantay na linya sa akin, Father and Brother Bo, and Dindo and Salve, is takot ako sa mami ko eh. Kasi yung mami ko,
Very good.
grabe yung in-inculcate sa akin. So feeling ko, syempre may errors, lahat ng nanay may errors, okay? And we love them nonetheless. Yung tamang payo ng magulang mo, yung alam mong tama kahit hindi pinayo ng magulang mo, yan ang magiging guide mo. Let's say uncomfortable, hindi ka komportable sa Jesus, Mother Mary, whatever. Let's say hindi ka komportable kasi nangyayari naman yan. Wala namang tama o mali pagdating dyan. Ang faith leaning ay kung komportable ka o hindi eh. So sa mga taong naiilang mag-deal with God as a concept and belief and faith, if you don't have it in you, I really need you to think, sino nag-alaga sa'yo, whether it's parents, an aunt, a lola, a sibling, ano yung mga tamang payo nila? Make them the higher power that you answer to. Kasi alam mo, Father Anton and Brother Bo, may Alzheimer's na mami ko. Pero hindi pa rin ako maka-misbehave. Kasi feeling ko, pag magising to, at malaman niya nag-misbehave ako, takot ako. So, for me, merong ganon. Hanap ka ng ganon, ng linya. A mentor, someone you admire, someone whose life you trust. You know, not perfect, but certainly passing grade in terms of being a good person. At yun ang gawin mo. Kung hindi ka komportable sa lahat ng sinabi ni Father Anton about the righteousness in the Bible, etc. Kasi minsan naka-intimidate siya. Pero sa akin, takot ako sa mami ko. Takot ako sa 2 or 3 ate ko at sa isang kuya. Yung iba hindi masyado. Pero meron
na lang
ganun.
marami ka pang kinakatakutan, gang.
Mamili ka ng 3 or 5 tao na talagang mahal mo at hinahangaan mo at talagang mahal ka at naaruga ka at sila yung isipin mo lagi pag may gagawin kang palpak, mali, or pag maisipan mo magnakaw, isipin mo yung itsura ng mami mo kung gaano mo siya masasaktan, kung siya ang pinaka central figure of your life. Obviously with me, it's my mom. So yun, lahat ng mga maayos kong desisyon na gagawa ko dahil takot ako sa mami ko eh. So yun,
Thank
okay
you.
rin yun. And Father Anton, like I said, gift kasi talaga ang faith, Father, no? Hindi tayo lahat meron, pero kung nabiyayaan ka with it, stay with the church. If you have it in you and it really keeps you and makes you feel safe, stay in the belief. And you respect back.
Thank you, gang. That is very inclusive. A very, very inclusive perspective, ano? Para dun sa subset na wala pa maybe in their journey, financial journey, in their journey, wala pa sila doon.
Consciousness is innate in every human being of a deeper sense of what is good, what is true, and what is beautiful. Innate sa atin yan eh. Because we were created to be good. We were not created to be evil eh. Each one of us, even though you're non-believer, ang tawag na namin yung anonymous Christian eh. Kahit hindi ka naniniwala kay Kristo, kahit hindi ka naniniwala sa Diyos, kahit wala kang pananampalataya, innate in every individual that deep sense of what is good, true, and beautiful. And that is conscience. That is conscience.
Konsyensya.
Father
Yan,
Anton,
konsyensya.
Salve, alam mo ba, 1,000 years ago narinig ko si Brother Bo, mas sure hindi na niya maalala to. Ito ka, dahil sobrang mong talino at nag-a-analyze ng sitwasyon, nalilito ka kung ano yung tama o mali. Ask a child. Ask
Yeah.
a child.
Oh,
Ask
that's
a
great.
5-year-old, is this good? Is this bad? And they will give you the guidance because it's very clear. Like Father Anton said, kahit walang knowledge of dogma theology and all the knowledge of the tenets of any church, a child usually, more often than not, statistically normal, knows what.
So many different things, but no boring moment. Maraming salamat sa ating mga panelists. We're nearing the end of our show this afternoon. But Brother,
Thank you. Thank you, Salve. In fact, gusto ko magpasalamat sa Sharefield. Ako, just being part of the panel, siguro yung tanong ko nga, ba't ako nandito? Kasi nandito I'm learning so much. And I want to say thank you to Gang, to Father Anton, Professor Dindo, Salve. Thank you for inviting me. I've learned so much. Katulad mo, Salve, ang dami kong notes ngayon. And it's something that I will pass on sa ating community. I've been leading a community, although I stepped down already 2 years ago, but I'm part of that community. Ang tawag ay Feast, Light of Jesus, no? So we're very happy. I'm very happy to be able to share this. Magkakaroon kami ng teaching series, no? Bawat linggo, we will be giving a teaching to everybody. It's on nation building. Ang tawag ng teaching series namin ay citizen, no? Na lahat tayo, what does it mean to be a good citizen? So based on scripture, and the reason why I'm sharing that story is because I think many of the faith groups na alam ko maggagawa ng ganun. Gagawa ng education, gagawa ng tinatawag ni Father Anton, forming the conscience, no? Kung if you're going to follow your conscience, let's form it. So, ganun ang mangyayari. Palagay ko sa maraming mga faith groups ngayon. And that is the role of the church. The role of the church is not to endorse a candidate because that's very tempting because you gain power lalo na pag nanalo. No? Pero tama si Father Anton, yung prophetic siya. The separation of church and state, ang pag pinakinggan mo yung mga karaniwan na pagkakaintindi ng separation of church, si Father, namumulikti ka, no? Sa homily niya, speaking against the government, medyo hindi accurate yung pagkaintindi ng separation of church and state. Once upon a time, there was a union of church and state. Spanish time, 333 years under Spanish rule. The Catholic Church was a state religion. And then kumbaga, church, public funds built the churches, etc. But the state had control, had interfered with church affairs. Pero ngayon may separation. So the separation of church and state is not so much what the church cannot do, but actually what the state cannot do. And the state cannot tell the church what to do. Pero now, because of the separation of church and state, the church can be a prophet. Pag may corruption and so on, the church can act as the conscience. And so yun ang papel ngayon. And I'm again very happy. Thank you for inviting me. Learn so much. Ipapasa ko ngayon.
data, Salve, reflects
Yeah, go ahead.
economic data would reflect also the story of the Filipino people. When you look at economic data, it reflects poverty, it reflects hardship. When you look at jobs, and you see, like, just use the December data of government. Wow, positive growth. But what did I see? I saw jobless growth. Because as we saw growth, it was driven by revenge of the consumers. They started spending maybe in the last quarter. But when you look at the underemployment and the unemployment, it's basically a jobless growth. So it always tells me the story of the Filipino people. I don't see numbers. I spent 26 years at the university, but everybody knows that I'm the least nerd in the university or the academic. Maybe that's why I'm outside. So that's why I try to simplify things. I keep it simple. I see data. I see the concern of the Filipino people as voters. I see the economic data. I see the challenges of the Filipino people. And what is government about? At the end of the day, I'm a governance professor. I spent 26 years handling the public administration program of LaSalle. And for me, government represents the people. And we need government to be responsive, to be transparent, to be accountable. And I like translating it in Filipino, in pananagutan. Kailangan managot ang mga namumuno sa atin. At sa pamumuno nila, kailangan din sila panagutin. Hindi sila tinitingala. Hindi sila sinasamba. And I always tell people, pag binabalikan ng theory, I always tell them, sorry, I was 29 years old when I was Undersecretary of Government until 35. I was Chief of Staff of a Senate President, third most powerful guy at 27. So I felt and experienced this world already. And I kept a simple life, and you can build on that. And I even went to civil society afterward and went back to the academy. So parang hindi lang maibato yung teorya eh. No? So I always tell them, pakinggan natin ang taong bayan. Para ngayon, no? Binabatikos ako yung representative ba daw ng Pilipino yung aking mga kino-quote. But sabi ko, maaaring I might not like the results of the survey, especially yung mga kaibigan natin sa Salve. Alam mo naman ng may mga common, mga kilala. Pero yun ang gusto ng taong bayan. Di baguhin natin yung panahon na I am just giving you guide that there is really disinformation and it's shaping the mind of these vulnerable Filipinos. We just have to keep on working, change their mind, to influence them without looking down at them. At the end of the day, they're the Filipino voters, they're the Filipino people that governments and elected officials ought to serve always and daily.
Ang galing talaga ni Prof. Dino. Ang galing. And I think bilang panghuli, kasi we're almost down to the last 15 minutes, ladies and gentlemen. Can you imagine? How do we marry yung natin, kunwari, after May, looking forward na to after May, kung yung nanalo, Hindi yung kinampanya mo ng very, very passionate. Ano na yung ambag natin ngayon? Very important. Last
Bago para sa nakararami. No? Kasi minsan yung concept of change is different depending on what socio-demographic sector you are. No? But tandaan din ng ating nakararami na maaaring kailangan paliwanagan, kailangan din tulungan makaintindi ang nakararami sa atin. Kaya nga in-emphasize ko yung sayang yung pag-angat ng digital life sa Pilipinas. Nakita ng mga political operative, I'll just call them political operatives, na opportunity pala to. At ang nakalulungkot dyan, madaming pag-aaral, nagpapakita yung ating konsepto ng business process outsourcing, hindi kilala as call center, baka troll farm na ngayon. So, yung mga magagandang mga pangyayari sa lipunan natin that was creating opportunities for people, also created opportunities for disinformation. And I always would like to emphasize this. If a candidate wins because of the disinformation on fake news, imagine what kind of governance we will see when they're elected. I fear that most. So it does not stop on May 9. Because this pandemic actually did not start in October 2021. It started June 30, 2016, when we saw the rise of partisan, populist, divisive politics being driven in social media, where we saw 24 million active followers of a certain political leader, bullying people. So we've been studying this for quite some time. And we've done even our part working with social media platforms to create, we were part through us, create mga fact check. But that's not enough. But we will continue. The election is just a stage. Ang nakakalungkot lang, it defines the next 6 years for us. So let's help each other define that 6 years na ikabubuti talaga ng sambayan ng Pilipinas.
parang maganda nga after this show mag-meeting nga tayo. Baka pwedeng magsama-sama, no? Ang grupo ni Gang, ang Strat-Base, ang napakalaking grupo ni Father Anton, and also the huge fan base of Brother Bo. Diba? So we can do more voter empowerment programs. Kasi tama si Prof. Dindo hindi dapat matapos sa Mayo. Dahil ang kinakaharap natin, leaders change every 6 years. But citizens don't. Wala naman tayong wala tayong termino Tayo pa din ang mag-harvest ng mga desisyon ng ating mga ng mga bumuboto sa Pilipinas. Babalikan ko si Father Anton kasi kanina ko pa siya nakikitang parang gusto nang lumukso Father Anton, alam ko marami kang gustong sabihin. Pero yun nga pag-usapan natin in what you do, paano mo binababa para yung mga we're truth tellers, all of us. I think Lindo, Gang, Bo, Kiefer, Father Anton, myself, Sherfield, and Management Association of the Philippines, all of the affiliated organizations, we're truth tellers. And if we don't allow that truth to be funneled down to every living Filipino, we're going to have a problem, Father Anton, Nakamute ka po.
Well, yeah, sorry. Election talaga is about change, Change for the better. Kaya nga 75% coming from Class D, the poor wants to change their lives for the better. Ito lang yung nakikita nilang paraan, peaceful way to enact change. Sabi nga ni Abraham Lincoln, ballot is more stronger than bullet. Ayaw natin dumating yung point of desperation ang poor. Kaya nakikita nila itong eleksyon ang mapayapang paraan sa pagbabago, especially for the common good. Kaya mahalaga na tayo pong mga leaders, we have to take stock of that, That's why we need to be honest and transparent, in our relationship with the poor. Sa akin kasi palaging poor ang aking binibigyan ko ng diin because we're a poor country. Majority of our country are poor. No? And nothing is happening. No, since wala nung panahon ng 60s, 70s, up to now, the lives of the poor are not changing. Sabi nga ng PSA, 24% na naman ang percentage ng poverty in our country. And you're just talking about the poorest of the poor. You're not even talking about the moderate poor and the vulnerable non-poor. Di ba? Puro pa lang, 24%. At hindi nagbabago ang buhay ng mahihirap, no, sa ating bansa. Kaya if there is a leader that we want in the future, no, una muna mayroong character. No? Unang-una yung character. Kasi although sabi nila, in the modern day leadership, character and competence must always come together. Or else, end of leadership. There is an end of leadership in the world today if you don't have the combination of character and competence. Character without competence is terrible. And competence without character is ruthlessness, alam natin, if not corruption. Kaya yung dalawang yan magkasama palagi. Pero pag tatanungin mo daw, sino mauna, palagi pa rin character. No? For example, honesty. No? We're not looking for a perfect leader. We're looking for an honest leader. An honest leader. That people can trust. No? Pag siya'y nagkamali, transparent, nagkakamali siya. At pag siya'y nagtagumpay, honest din siya that he did not do it alone. It was a team who brought success. No? Honesty is very important in character. No? Pero at the end of the day, yung competence naman is just a matter of getting the right team, no, with the political will to implement the program of the government, which should focus on the poor. In my relationship with the poor in Caritas Manila, in NGO and cooperative, ang problema sa Pilipinas, kahirapan. Kahirapan ang problema ng Pilipinas. Ang hinahanap pong leader, may track record, o maliwanag ang programa, and political will that will impact the lives of the poor. Please naman, yan ang priority ng gobyerno, impact the lives of the poor, especially the poorest in our country, the farmers and the fishermen. Nakakahiya, nakaka-iskandalo. Sabihin na natin, Kristiyano tayong bansa, ang pinakamahihirap sa ating bansa ang nagpapakain sa atin. Ako nahihiya ako eh. No? Na-iskandalo ko. No? Tayong lahat, no? Kayo pong mga nakikinig, ang nagpapakain sa atin araw-araw, ang pinakamahihirap sa ating bansa. Fishermen and farmers. And it has not changed. It has not changed since I was born, no? Panahon na ni Marcos, no? Hanggang ngayon hindi nagbabago ang buhay ng mahirap, no? Kaya ako, at the end of the day, it's who will impact the lives of the poor should be the one being voted into office. Servant leader who will have the impact for the poor. Period. Thank you.
Father Anton, medyo naantig ako dun kasi anak ako ng magsasaka tsaka mangingisda eh. O, ngayon, hindi ako tumangkad dahil kulang ako sa nutrisyon. 4'9" lang ako, di ba, Brother Bo? Si Dindo, nakita na ako ng mga to eh. Kaya napaka-importante nung sinabi niya. At sana well-guided as we move on to the closing part of our program. Well-guided ang ating mga viewers dun sa mga sinabi ni Father Anton. Brother Bo, and then Gang, and then Dindo and Kiefer for your final words. Nakamute ka po.
Sobrang ganda ng sinabi ni Father Anton. I don't copy-paste, no? It has to be really for the poor. Ako, 4.2 million Filipinos still go hungry, no? According to surveys. Tapos tama si Father, nakakahiya. We're supposed to be people who followed this carpenter savior who said that, whatever you do to the least of my brethren, you do it for me. Yun ang sinabi niya. So, and then we call ourselves a Christian nation, and it 4.2 million people. We're not talking of 1,000 people or 100,000 people going hungry. 4.2 million. It haunts me. And if there's a role that we need to play bilang lay faith groups, it's that. To tell people na hindi pwedeng, kung sumusunod ka sa Panginoon, hindi pwedeng dasal at misa at Bible study lang. Hindi pwede. All of that should lead to being able to say, teka muna, I'm gonna go there to the poorest of the poor and I'm gonna make them my family. Aampunin ko sila. I'll find ways to create jobs. I'll find ways to educate them's financial literacy. I'll do everything I can kasi sila ang nandun ang simbahan. You know, they are the temples of the Holy Spirit. Sila ang paglilingkuran ko. So yun lang ang papel. Kasi maganda yung tanong. I'd like to answer that last question na sinabi mo, Salve. Kung let's say manalo yung hindi mo kinakampanya, ano gagawin mo after? So ang sagot tuloy lang ang ating laban, no? We need to keep on finding ways to be able to help people, the poorest of the poor, lift them up. Kasi hindi lang naman through politics ang solusyon, 'di ba? We need to do our own part, you know, in whatever ways we can para hindi na magutom yung Pilipino.
Thanks, Bo. Gang?
Counted na ba na misa na nakinig ako kay Father Anton tsaka kay Brother Bo? Ilang misa na yun? Pwede na ba mag-skip? Hindi. Again, i-accommodate ko yung mga walang face leaning. May confession ako. Every time naririnig ko yung kailangan asikasuhin natin ng poor, pag naririnig ko yung poor, gumaganon ako. Napailing ako kasi nahihiya ako or nagigilty or ang sama ng feeling na meron tayong dinidescribe na kolektibo na poor. Ang napapaganon ako. But I realize mahalaga siya for purposes of conversation na yun ang gagamitin nating word, no? Pero in my head, lagi siyang the collective that needs services. The collective that needs services. Palaging ganon. Para hindi siya masyadong nakapako sa utak natin na it's poor. Kasi ang daming not so nice connotations with poor. So yun yung una kong confession na napapa-jump talaga ako. Pero for purposes of economics, I get it. We might need to use that word all the time. The second, gusto ko talagang replyan yung nireplyan din ni Brother Bo na question ni Attorney Victor Africa, who is someone I really admire actually. Sabi niya, who you know, if kung hindi manalo, you will go on with our lives. That's my point. Yun yung sinabi ko kanina. You know, it doesn't matter who the president is. So, kahit may 100,000 topics akong gustong i-cover right now, I will leave you with one very practical thing that I think is very important that you keep in mind. Okay? I really need to hear you. If your president is good and your mayor is not, you're in trouble. But if your president is awful, pero okay yung mayor mo, may chance na mas okay ang livelihood, ang life mo. So do not let go of the chance to get to know your LGU candidates. Aralin mo yung konsehal. Sila yung pinaka-physically malapit sa'yo. Pag magkasunog, magkalindol, anything which will happen because we're an archipelago within the volcanic beltline, whatever. You need to know who you can call near you in your area. So, mahalaga naman na alam mo kung sino ang presidente, mahalaga rin sa atin kung sino ang i-appoint na spokesperson ng presidente kasi araw-araw pinakikinggan natin ang itsura nila. So, okay lang. Pero pag may idea ka na kung sinong president, vice president mo, isang tabi mo siya for about 3 days, tapos aralin mo sino yung governor, mayor, konsehal, SK, yung pinakamalapit sa'yo, mayor, vice mayor, at doon ka rin mag-focus. Laanan mo rin ang tamang attention at focus at aralin mo rin kung sino sila. Because like I said, kung maayos ang presidente, pero masahol yung governor mo, may problema kapag may bagyo. Pero kung yung presidente medyo nyaw-nyaw na hindi mo masyadong type na, pero yung mayor mo maayos, okay yung magiging mas may chance ka magka-access sa services, sa PhilHealth, sa etc. So wag niyong pabayaan yung bahagi ng balota na may LGU, vice mayor, governor, etc. hanggang konsehal, hanggang barangay captain kung nandun man. Pero wala yata this ballot. And then also don't forget your Congress representative kasi yan yung regional. So it's very practical, hardly dramatic, but that's really intensely important for me to share this morning kasi alam ko kulang tayo sa oras. Hopefully marami kayong natutunan just as I did. So magsiskip na po ako ng misa mga 2 linggo dahil nakinig ko Father Anton. At saka gusto ko pa ng extra faith, nakinig din ako kay Brother Bo. At thank you, Professor Dindo and Salve, for inviting us. Hopefully, I contributed even if I'm very lost what I'm doing in the Sharefield forum. So tandaan nyo, hindi ikaw ang pag-asa ng Pilipinas. Ikaw ang Pilipinas. So kung anong decision mo based on how you think will help others, yun yun. Your decision is the Philippines. Your personal history is Philippine history. Your personal vote is the Philippine vote. Your personal leader is the Philippines leader. So pag-isipan mo, and you're not just one vote. Si Heidi Len nga nanalo with just one plate extra nung gold eh. Tanggalin mo yung one plate na yun, hindi siya first place, hindi siya gold. Ikaw yun. Baka vote mo yun, right? So go ahead, please vote. Please vote.
Thank you so much, gang. Guys, we are at the end of our event today. Thank you to all of my panelists and our keynote speaker, and to Sharefield, of course, and all of the other organizations that organize this. I definitely had a great time. My panelists are all rock stars. Konti lang na just in closing to bring everything together. I remember Kiefer saying, find yourself. I think it's very important, the voice of the youth. Find yourself, and as you find yourself, you'll know who you want to vote for, because it will define your knowledge of who you are, will define what kind of leadership, what kind of nation you want to have. I think it was Dindo who said, oh, may mga kandidato sumasayaw, kumakanta, sana magaling din silang mamahala. Favorite ko to. May bago na naman akong napulot. Napaka-importante talaga ng good governance, you know. It's not just about the promises. Find out what they've done and make sure that they're honest, transparent. Paulit-ulit natin to pinag-uusapan more. Issue-based, character, before kapareho mo ng probinsya, kakilala ng pamilya, before anything else, look for the issues, look for the character. Si Gang sabi niya kanina, kung walang epekto sa'yo yung boto mo, malamang may epekto yon sa iba pang mga tao na that you care about. A ballot is stronger than a bullet. Brother Bo and Father Anton talked to us at lengthily about the role that the church plays, you know, in the way that we choose our candidates. Definitely, pwede nating tingnan yung mga guidelines coming from faith, hindi naman just because of faith-based groups, but because yung konsensya natin, yun ang best na magsasabi sa atin kung sino dapat ang iboboto natin. At yan po mga kaibigan, sana napabaunan namin kayo ng mga pag-iisipan para sa eleksyon sa May 9, 60-something days na lang. Tandaan po na magdala ng ID, sanitizer, pamaypay, magsuot ng face mask and maintain social distancing pagpunta natin sa mga election precincts on May 9. And to formally close today's program, may I call on the President of Sharefield and President and CEO of Qualimed Health Network for a few parting words. President Jimmy Ismael. Nakamute pa po kayo.
Thank you very much. Maraming salamat, Salve, para sa napakagandang discussion that we had this afternoon. And since kami sa Sharefield ay advocacy namin ay tulungan ang ating mga investors to make wise investment decisions, nais kong ikumpara ang pagboto sa pagdesisyon kung saan natin ilalagay ang ating mga naipon. Ang pagpili ng tamang kandidato para sa mga ihahalal na mamumuno ng ating bansa ay katulad ng pagpili ng tamang investment kung saan natin itatabi ang ating pinaghirapang naipon. Ito ay napakahalaga sapagkat ang kinabukasan ng ating pamilya ay nakasalalay dito. Sa pagdedesisyon ng tamang investment, kinakailangang alamin ng mabuti ang produkto o instrumento na bibilhin. At kung i-apply natin itong prinsipyo na ito sa eleksyon, ang iboboto natin. Dapat nating alamin ang kwalifikasyon, mga nagawa at ang mga platapormang pang-ekonomiya para sa nakararaming mamamayang Pilipino at ang estilo ng pagpapalakad ng gobyerno ng bawat kandidato. Ang mga ito ay napakahalagang pamantayan upang malaman natin kung sino ang nararapat na mamuno sa ating bansa para marating natin ang pinakamimithing ang maramihan at patuloy na pag-asenso. Sa pagpili ng tamang investment, kailangan ding suriin ang reputasyon ng kumpanya na nagbebenta ng investment kung sila ay mapapagkatiwalaan at pangangalagaan ng husto ang ating naipong puhunan. Kung iuukol natin ito sa eleksyon, kailangan nating siyasatin ang tunay na pagkatao o karakter at integridad ng kandidato sapagkat ito ang magiging klase ng pamumuno na kanyang magagampanan. Ibinahagi sa atin ng ating mga panauhing pandangal sa araw na ito ang mga pamantayan sa pagpili ng tamang kandidato, katulad ng mga pamantayan sa pagpili ng tamang investment. Binase nila ang kanilang payo ayon sa kanilang nalalaman o karanasan bilang kinatawan ng iba't ibang sektor ng lipunan. Sana nagustuhan ninyo ang kanilang mga tinalakay at nakapulot tayo ng kaunting prinsipyo na magsisilbing gabay sa pagpili ng tamang kandidato na mamumuno sa atin para sa ikauunlad at kinabukasan ng ating bayan at ng ating pamilya. Sa ngalan ng Sherfield, lubos ko pong pinasasalamatan ang ating punong tagapagsalita, Profesor Dindo Manhit, ang ating mga tagatalakay, Gang Badoy Kapati, Father Anton Pascual, Kiefer Ravena at Bo Sanchez, at ating host at moderator na si Salve Duplido. Pinasasalamatin din natin ang mga nagpadala ng mensahe, Ato Marolio, Father Manuel Francisco at Louis Ocampo. Maraming salamat din sa ating mga media partners, ANC, Business World, The Inquirer Group, TV5's One News, The Philippine Star, at Puma Podcast. Lubos na pasasalamat din sa ating mga partner organizations, Phoenix Foundation, J-Phoenix, MAP, St. Paul's School of Professional Studies, at iba pang mga organisasyon na sumuporta sa atin. Maraming salamat din sa Sherfield Summit Committee at sa Sherfield Secretariat sa lahat ng paghahanda na ginawa para sa summit na ito. Inaasahan namin na patuloy ninyong tatangkilikin ang aming mga programa at webinars sa Sherfield. Maraming salamat po sa inyong lahat. Ang magandang hapon po. Salamat.
Thank you, Sir Jimmy Ismael. Maraming salamat po sa closing remarks. Meron po kaming konting pabaon sa ating mga registered viewers ngayong hapon. Meron po tayong illustration, napaka-fun nito. At i-email po ito sa inyo, papadala po ito sa inyo para meron kayong notes na cute para sa hapon na ito. Maraming salamat po ulit at para sana makita namin kayo sa susunod pang mga shows ng Sherfield. Bye everybody!
Salamat.
Salamat. Bye-bye.
Bless.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Tin.